Okay, so what's a rigid motion?
The shape doesn't change in size or pain.
Correct. So the size will not change. It's not going to get bigger, smaller. Shape's not going to change. It's just going to move. So a rigid motion, it stays the same size and shape. Okay, did everybody get on B? You guys agree that X went down 7? Well, it went left 7, I guess, a better way to say it. So I put X minus 7. And then X or Y went up 1, right? So this is what you should have wrote down. Just like that right there. Okay, is everybody good on that? So XY, arrow, X minus 7, Y plus 1. All right, we're going to write down a couple things here first. See number 1 down there. We're going to do reflections. Number 1, we're reflecting a figure over the right-hand x-axis. For number 2, write in the origin. I'm sorry, y-axis, sorry. So for number 1, putting x-axis. Number 2, that's a reflection over the y-axis. Number 3, that's a reflection over the origin. So we got x-axis, y-axis, origin. Then number 4, that's going to be a reflection over the line, y equals x. And number 5 is going to be a reflection over the line, y equals negative x. That's the 5 reflections that we're going to do. X-axis, y-axis, origin. Now, when I say the word origin, that really means what point? 0, 0. And then we're going to do the line y equals x and the line y equals negative x. So everybody look at number 1 there. Reflecting over the x-axis. If you guys look at C, first I want to make sure you understand reflecting means that if the point is here, it's going to be the same distance away down there, right? So let me ask you a question. If you write down point C and then C prime, everybody do that. Write down the point C they give you and then write down the point C prime. And when you look at those points, and if you think about this, if I reflect over the x-axis, should the x value change at all? Like on your C, did your x value change? Nope, stayed exactly the same, didn't it? And doesn't that make sense? If I'm reflecting over the x-axis, it's got to be in the same place, doesn't it? Now the y value changes, but the number doesn't change, does it? What's it really doing? Like for instance, what did up 3? Was C 1, 3? What was it? 1, 2? Okay, so 1, 2. So when I did C prime, it was 1, negative 2, wasn't it? Does it make sense to everybody that if it's 2 away here, it's got to be 2 away there? So if that's positive 2, this is negative 2. Everybody with me so far? Okay, so what we're going to do is write down a rule. So what a rule means is if I have an xy, okay, like in this first one, we had 1, 2, right? The rule means what's happening to it. So what we just said, that if I take these two values here, x and y, will the x change? Stays the same, doesn't it? So it's going to be x. What did the y do? It's like changed the opposite, didn't it? Now, in this case, it was positive, so it became negative. But if it would have been negative, what do you think would have happened? It would have become positive. So we're going to put a negative y. So now what this means right here is if I start with a point, like we started with 1, 2, right? What this is telling you is x going to change at all? Nope. But this number is going to become the opposite of what it was. Does that make sense, everybody? So that's what happens when we reflect over the x-axis. What do you think is going to happen now? Let's go to the next one when I reflect over the y-axis. What do you think is going to stay the same? The y is not going to change, is it? Does that make sense, everybody? But what's the x going to do? It's going to become the opposite sign. So if you want to see it on number 2, write down the 2 points they give you and look how they change. So if you're looking at your points they give you on number 2, A is 3, 2. A prime is negative 3, 2. B is negative 1, negative 3. B prime is 1, negative 3. So what's happening? What's our rule we're going to write down? If we start with a point, the x is changing to the opposite sign, the y staying the same. Okay, is everybody with me so far? There's our second rule. Third rule is what happens if we reflect over the origin? So I start here, but now I reflect straight down there. Does that make sense, everybody? So look at number 3. If you look at E, it is 2, 3, isn't it? What is E prime? Negative 2, negative 3. Okay, look at F. It is 3, 1. Sorry, 3, negative 1, right? F prime is negative 3, positive 1. This time, which one changed signs? Both of them. So for our origin rule, we're going to write xy, and we're going to put negative x, negative y. Okay, now we're going to rewrite these again in a second, but so far, that's our first 3 rules. That makes sense, everybody? They go together. So reflecting over the x-axis, x stays the same. Reflecting over the y-axis, y stays the same. Over the origin, they both change. And then our last 2, we're reflecting over a line. Okay, so let's write down what G is on number 4. You guys agree on G? It is 3, 1. Everybody see where G is? So we start with 3, 1. Now look at G prime. See how it's reflected over that line? What is G prime? 1, 3. Okay, let's look at H. H is 0, negative 3, correct? H prime is negative 3, 0. What's our point doing this time? They're just, instead of being where they were, what are they really doing? They're like changing places, aren't they? You guys see what I mean by that? So here's how we're going to write the rule. If I start with this x and that y, my new point is going to be flipped around. So if my first point is 4, 5, the reflection will be 5, 4. They just change places. And then the great thing about this next one is that was y equals x, right? You see how this one is y equals negative x? Watch what happens this time. They still change places. So if you guys look at L on number 5, L is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. What is L prime? Negative 1, negative 4, isn't it? M is negative 3, negative 2. M prime is 2, negative, or I'm sorry, let me make sure I said that right. 2, 3, yep. So this time, not only do they change places, they also do what? Change signs. Okay? All right, so let's turn the page. We're just going to write down our rules again, then we're going to use them. So here's our rules, okay? Now you might want to make a note of this at the top, because so far, here's what we've done today. We did translations first, right? Obviously that starts with a T. To now we're doing reflections. Next time we're going to do rotations. Reflections and rotations both start with an R, don't they? So see how that is a little r? That's going to be reflection. Later, next time we're here, when we do rotations, that's going to be a capital R. So that's just how you can tell if they put a single R. This is saying reflect over the x-axis. Here's our rule. If it's xy, what do we say stays the same? The x, right? So it's x negative y. Reflect over the y-axis. Is negative x, y. Y stays the same. And then reflect over the origin. They both change. Reflect over y equals x. They change places. And reflect over y equals negative x. They not only change places, they change signs. Okay, so what you're going to do now is on number 6, you're going to look at the points they give you, write down which one is happening. Okay, you guys try that.